Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me for today's or this month's refresher webinar. Here we are in November already. So today we're going to be talking about VUCA. I'll explain that. Breathing and gratitude. Kind of a lot to cover, but there's a lot going on in our world. A lot of things that are create maybe some uncertainty or some stress. I won't even name them. It's just, we all know there's just lots going on. A lot of outside noise. But what we can control is the inside noise, even though it gets pretty noisy in there as well. And so returning to the basics of the breathing is always one way to do that, and sort of being grounded. We'll do that in our meditation today. But first, let's start with a brief practice, which is something, if you recall, from one of our classes called Stop. And it simply is to first stop and take stock of how you're feeling. If you're stressed or unsettled or whatever is going on, just kind of asking yourself deliberately, what's going on right now for me? You can close your eyes to do this if that helps, but you don't have to. You can also
like term babies who are like home and at a pediatrician, they give them all at once. But in the NICU, we give one a day.
There we go. So we're just checking in with ourselves. What's going on right now in our experience? Just see what you notice. And then the T is take a mindful breath.
The third 2-month vaccine that we give tends to make them like, if they're gonna misbehave and like have as great party as anything like that.
That works that time. So T is take a mindful breath or breaths. See if you can just really feel the breath. Each in breath, each out breath, tune into that, where you feel the breath, what your breathing is like. And of course, we know from our previous practices that our breath can serve and be an anchor to bring us back into the present moment. So we feel our breath and then we open and observe. What do you notice in your experience right now? What thoughts are present? What are you saying to yourself? What images coming to mind? What's going on in the heart? What feelings are here? Enjoying this, not enjoying this, neutral. What's your general mood? Just identifying that for a moment. And then what's going on in the body? Actual present moment sensations, scanning the body just to check in. What do you notice in the body? And then we expand our field of awareness beyond the breathing so that it include a sense of the body as a whole, the whole body breathing, and maybe what's happening around you, sights, sounds, smells, whatever is in your environment. Expanding, and then with that expansion, proceeding. The P is proceeding as best you can with this expanded awareness into the next moments. And that's stop. Now I extended that a little bit. It's really meant, sometimes it's called a 1-minute breathing space. But I'm going to do one other quick little exercise, which is kind of a grounding exercise. And what you can do is put up your hand in front of you, and then we just simply begin to trace, starting on either side. Move so you can see my hand better. And we'll just kind of bring our finger up. As you bring it up, breathe in, and then breathe out. Slowly feeling that sense, breathing in as you trace the outline of your fingers. In as you go up, and out as you come down. In and out. All the way over to the thumb, in and then out. And it can be as quick as that. You can go back all the way back to the beginning again. You want to extend it a little bit. But that's just another quick kind of practice to center our awareness and our attention on the present moment with that feeling of just tracing the hand and the fingers and just what that feels like. So the tactile sensations, but also regulating our breathing, allowing the breath to slow down a little bit and paying attention to it. And that can bring us into the present moment. Because, as we know, and as I led off with, there is a lot going on in our world, a lot that seems, out of our control. There's all sorts of stuff. I won't even name them. Just turn on the news and you'll be informed. And that's part of the problem. We turn on the news or we get whatever information on our smart dumb phones, whatever you want to call them. These little devices that give us way too much information, and they create this VUCA. VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And there's a lot of that. And, ever since I first introduced this term, I learned it through Amishi Jha, who this quote you'll see is from. But, this came up during COVID, and it just seems to be continuing in our world, all of these things. And when we have these things, it can really feel overwhelming. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed or unfocused, if you've struggled with staying on task or been blindsided by emotion during this time, me too. But this is precisely what our prior research regarding the human brain's attention system would predict. And again, that's Amishi Jha, the author of Peak Mind. And so in other words, you're overwhelmed, but it's not really your fault. There's all this stuff, the VUCA stuff going on that is creating, a lot of angst and overwhelm and volatility and complexity, all those things. So that can automatically tune into our negativity bias. And again, these are a lot of concepts I've shared before in other classes, but just to remind you that we already are kind of hardwired to and have a tendency to put more weight on negative events compared to positive events. It's just the way that we've sort of been hardwired over evolution. We've learned to, as you see in that third bullet point, evolutionary adaptation for survival. We've learned to pay more attention to dangerous negative threats in order to survive. And coming back to that second point, we remember, react, think, and make decisions more strongly to negative experiences and stimuli compared to positive ones. So part of our practice is to overcome that negativity bias. I think mindfulness is a great way to do that. And we can be aware of when we're feeling sort of negative. We can learn to not automatically react. Mindfulness helps us step back from those kinds of automatic conditioned responses. And we can really have a little bit more control over how we respond to that, rather than, let those outside circumstances and stimuli just, take control of our attention. And that's really what it does. It takes control of our attention. It brings us to that negative perspective quite easily. And these quotes kind of illustrate that. We are not troubled by things, by all that outside noise, but by the opinions we have about those things. So, in our classes, we do a thought meditation, and you'll notice part of that is to begin to notice what thoughts are going on. And we'll do that a little bit in today's practice as well. And to realize that our thoughts are often fueling that negativity bias. And the more that kind of get wrapped up into that outside, all those conditions that are going on that we have no control over, our thoughts are sometimes creating negativity. They're creating all sorts of inner commentary and criticism, and we're making judgments, and we can easily get swept away. But the second quote is where mindfulness comes in, and that's that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And that's why we did that 1 minute breathing space or that stop exercise right up front, because that can help ground us a little bit. It can help us find that space so that we don't automatically react to all that stuff that's going on. What's the best way to do that? Well, as we've learned in a lot of our classes, it's just simply breathing and feeling the breath. So we're going to pay attention to that. It really can be the antidote as well as being grounded. But a couple of simple techniques that we'll do is just lengthening the in breath to about the count of 4. Sometimes you can pause after that in breath. So breathe. You can do this with me if you'd like. So breathe into about 4, pause, and then breathe out to at least 6 or 8. Long, slow out breath, emptying all the air out. Do that 2 or 3 times. And when you breathe out, you can breathe out through your nose or through open mouth, or almost like you're blowing through a straw, either way. And just notice what that feels like. It's a simple technique, but it can really make a difference. You can also just pay attention and say to yourself in as you're breathing in, out as you're breathing out, just as a way to stabilize your attention and focus on the breath in and out. Or you can use words like calm and ease, or whatever words you like that feel good to you as you breathe in and out, that can help focus our attention. You might also notice exterior noises, like right now my dog is in the background barking. A FedEx truck just pulled up, so sorry if you hear that barking in the background. Then there's something called cyclic sighing, which I'm going to integrate into the exercise today. I've told you about this before. Maybe you've heard me talk about this, but this is one of the most effective types of breathing that they found in this research study. There's a couple of links if you want to read further about it, but they compared it to other types of breathing, and they found that the cyclic sighing is it's probably one of the most effective ways. And what it is very simply, it's a 2-part in breath. So the first part, you breathe halfway in, you're kind of filling the belly. So breathe in using your diaphragm, let the belly expand, and then you breathe all the way in so that you fill your lungs. So it's a real full in breath, and then you sigh it out. You can even use an audible sigh as you breathe out with an open mouth. So it's halfway in, fill the belly, all the way in, fill the lungs, and if you do that a few times, or even like if you really spend 5 minutes doing it, it's very, very effective in handling stress and anxiety and a lot of that outside noise and all those things that are going on in the world around us. So we'll do that in the meditation, which we're going to do now. I'm also going to incorporate some grounding practices, and we'll also open up to noticing what thoughts are going on. So let's do the meditation, and let's start now. So find a position that's comfortable for you, assuming you're sitting, but you could be standing for this or even laying down. Sitting in a chair is fine, but you could also be sitting on a cushion, whatever you like, whatever is most comfortable for you. So take a moment to adjust your posture so that you're sitting comfortable and relaxed and balanced, sitting relatively upright, feet flat on the floor. And you can close your eyes if you like, or you can use sort of a soft, unfocused gaze down at a point in front of you. Again, your choice. And first, we'll just start with checking in with ourselves. Like we did in the stop exercise, just checking in. How are things now for you? What's the internal weather like? And as we notice and observe thoughts and feelings and what's going on in the body, just notice. We don't have to fix anything or do anything, just notice. And then we're going to begin to ground ourselves. So bring your awareness and attention into the body. And the basic instruction is to sit and know you're sitting. How do you know that you're sitting? Not as an idea, but as an experience, as an embodied, felt experience. What lets you know from the sensations in your body that you're sitting? Maybe it's the feeling of the chair supporting you and the contact and pressure of your buttocks and your sit bones and the lower back sitting on a surface. Maybe it's the position of your body and your feet on the floor and the hands and arms resting on your armrests or wherever they're resting on your lap. All these are signals to let us know that we're sitting. Next, begin to notice any sense of heaviness or weight in the body, especially in the lower part of the body. Just feel the weight and stability and density of the body. And just feel that weight of the body. And like a smooth stone dropped into a pool of water, it's sinking slowly toward the bottom. Let your awareness sink slowly into your body. So that you're really aware of the body itself, that sense of being grounded through those touch points, connecting you with the earth. And as we feel the body, in your own time, allow your awareness to feel the body breathing. Just notice what the breath is like right now. And just really kind of in a general way, feel the breath flowing in and out of the body. There's this sense of rising and falling. You don't need to focus on a particular part of the breath at this point. Just notice it in a more open, relaxed way. Feeling the sensations of the in-breath and the out-breath, and a sense of rising or expanding, and then falling and settling. And see if you can tune into that soothing, sinking, grounding effect of the out-breath, allowing the weight of the body to give itself up to gravity, and just feeling yourself settling, sinking in, and grounding. And as you breathe, feel the whole lower body grounded into the earth, almost as if you were like a tree with its roots sinking down deep into the earth. Stable, grounded, connected. You might imagine the upper part of your body, your spine and the back, sort of like the tree extending toward the sky. And it's a little bit more flexible and light and loose, and sort of can bend and sway with the wind. And the wind reminds us again, and let's go back to our breath. And this time, let's do that cyclic sighing. So we're going to breathe in that two-part in-breath. So halfway in, filling the belly, all the way in, filling the chest and the lungs, And then sigh it out with an open mouth. Do that again a few more times at your own pace. Again, halfway in, filling the belly, all the way in, filling the lungs, and then sigh it out long and slow. Let all that air out. So here we are. Just notice how this feels to be grounded and to be relaxed with the breath and the body. Notice what that feels like to do that kind of breathing. And you may also notice thoughts coming and going. And the usual practice is to let go of thoughts and to return to our anchor of the breath or the body. But for now, we're going to just notice what thoughts are present. And don't push them away. Just observe thoughts as they come and go. What kinds of thoughts are there? Maybe there's a stream of thought going on, and maybe you even get lost in thought, and that's okay because our mind is always generating thoughts. And if your thought patterns have pulled you away from this grounding experience or your breathing, just notice that. And you can always return back to that anchor of the breath of the body. But you can also be a little curious about the thoughts. What types of thoughts are going on? Maybe it's a planning thought or a memory or something you've got to do later. Just noticing thoughts, but not engaging with them. Just being aware of thoughts. And remember, you don't have to fix anything. You don't have to figure anything out. Just observing thoughts. You are the observer right now. You're not the fixer. Just being aware of those thoughts coming and then going, because they dissolve on their own. If you really kind of follow them, you'll see them just kind of dissipate, and other thoughts coming in and replacing them. But just being aware of thoughts as these mental events or even like clouds passing through the open sky of our awareness. And we're the open sky. We're the observer. The observer part of us is that open sky of awareness. And everything that's going on is just weather patterns. And we're just noticing them. We don't have to react to them. Sometimes we get caught up in them because there's often strong patterns, strong weather, strong energy going on, and it's easy to get kind of swept away. But whenever that happens, we can also re-anchor ourselves and we can feel the breath, feel that being grounded, and we restabilize and recenter and refocus back on the present moment. And in doing so and being aware of these thoughts, we might have some awareness of these sticky thoughts or repetitive thoughts that happen, because we know that there are repetitive thought patterns and we know that we have conditioned thoughts in our lives that keep popping up. And we can learn to find that space so that instead of reacting automatically, we can learn to find a space, step back from it, and then respond in a way that's more helpful to us. All right, so let's, as we begin to close the meditation, let's re-ground ourselves, sense ourselves in the body. Let's take one last deep, full two-part breath in, and then a long out breath. We breathe out, feel that body being even a little bit more grounded and relaxed. And when you're ready, you can begin to open the eyes if they've been closed as we finish for today. And just pausing for a moment, just kind of notice you did a lot there. So what was that like for you? Just kind of check in with yourself. What's the state of your awareness now? Is it different than it was before? Um, is there something you noticed in some of these grounding and breathing and thought awareness practices that you can use later on? What was helpful to you? Just maybe noticing, checking in. And I'd love to hear from you. You can use the chat feature, or if you want to unmute yourself, love to hear if you have any thoughts about that, or if you have any comments or questions or anything about what your experience was like with that. So let's move on. I did want to touch base a little bit on gratitude, because I think that's another, at this time of year, of course, approaching Thanksgiving and the holidays, it really helps us to get back in touch with things that we feel grateful about, right? So here are some gratitude prompts. You might take a look at some of these things. They can also be great ways to counteract that negativity bias that we talked about, right? So, there was a comment there. Here we go. Let's see. Love the grounding practice. Good, good. And love the cyclic sign. Good. Calms me right down. Yeah, it's very effective. Both I find are effective. Thank you for those comments. So maybe taking note of a gratitude prompt here, whatever. As you can see, these are all kinds of things that we can be grateful for. The usual guidance about gratitude is to take a little bit of time and make a practice out of it, like we do with our meditation. Or you can even at the end of each meditation, you can just tune into, what are you grateful for? Which I forgot to do at the end of that meditation. But, maybe what's going right in today for you today, or jotting something down, or sharing it with somebody, or texting somebody, but consciously and intentionally tuning into what you're grateful for, kind of counting our blessings as we approach Thanksgiving. And here are a couple more links from Brother David Steindl-Rast from gratefulness.org. It's not happiness that makes us grateful, it's gratefulness that makes us happy. And these are all, like maybe 5-minute videos, but they're all very good. The last one is, I'm pretty sure it's still active. It's slow motion photography, and he talks about gratitude. But the others are by Brother David Steindl-Rast, and the first one I think has like well over 1 million hits. So they're pretty popular. So check them out if you have time. And then this is another practice that you might recall that we've talked about. The 3 good things practice, again, has been researched and shown to be very effective. Just simply at the end of your day, recounting 3 things that went well, because we have a tendency to kind of focus on the bad stuff, what didn't go well, or that, the meeting that you weren't happy with, or that whatever it was, the drive home, or, something that happened at work, or whatever. We all have those things that don't go that well, that we're unhappy about, or that stress us out. So this again counteracts that. 3 things that went well, just write them down, share them with somebody if you want, maybe have a buddy to do this with, text somebody. But this has been shown to be very, very effective, even a long-lasting effect of up to 3 to 6 months if you do this for a couple of weeks on our happiness and well-being. So another practice you might try. These are just quick gratitude pauses again that you might also try. Breathing deep, appreciating being alive. I mean, sometimes we just take the breath for granted, right? So this is all about really appreciating what the breath and the body does for us. Scan the body. What's good about your body? I know it's so easy to kind of focus on what we don't like about with the body. We're all aging, no matter what age we are, but the older I get, the more I notice, and it's easy to focus on that knee pain or that back pain or the things that I can't do the way that I used to be able to do them 10, 20 years ago. So really focusing on what is working, just the ability to taste food and to savor that, for example, or to smell, or to use your body in ways that, to be able to walk in nature or to ride a bike or whatever it is. There are lots of things that we can be grateful for and appreciate about what's going well in our body. And then savor, same thing. Savoring might be eating something or might be a pleasant experience. But the idea is to simply take a little bit more time and sort of savor or marinate in the experience. And research, again, has shown that when we spend even as little as 20 to 30 seconds savoring something and making that a habit, that can make some new neural pathways and can actually change the brain's chemistry. And then who are you grateful for and why, and kind of really being specific. And then tell them or write them a thank you note or an email or a text or whatever it might be. But, express that gratitude. And then I haven't written this down, but also receiving that. Sometimes it's not as easy when somebody tells us something nice about us. Sometimes we downplay that and we say, oh, it's just whatever. We kind of make excuses. But when somebody tells you what they're grateful for about you, and you might even be tuning into some of the things that you appreciate about yourself and using a little bit of that self-compassion and being grateful for those positive qualities that you own, that are part of you, can be also a great practice. And so I love this quote. Gratitude teaches us to appreciate the rainbow and the storm, to appreciate everything that's going on. So thank you for that. Love the gratitude prompts. Yeah, and sometimes we need prompting, don't we? We need to be reminded of the things that we are grateful for. So, but also we realize that sometimes there are things that are struggles or challenges, and we can't have life without them, right? So it's just part of the balance of it. And so I guess to me, it's sort of like saying those struggles and those challenges, we can automatically go into that negativity mode, but we don't have to. We can step back from that, not let it trigger us, and try to appreciate and reframe it, maybe reappraise that situation so that we can realize that there are reasons to even be grateful for the storms in our life. I came across this morning, the Greater Good Science Center, which is a great resource. There's a link here. They have a free workshop on gratitude on Thursday the 21st, which is the Thursday before Thanksgiving, 1:30 to 2:30. So there's a link here if you want to check that out. Again, I'll post all the slides on the Thrive live and recorded resources. That's where I'm putting all the refresher webinar slides and recordings. So if you wanted to find that, you could be able to find that. And or just Google it, the Greater Good Workshop. They also have a great weekly newsletter. They put out terrific stuff. So you might check that out. Great. Thank you for those comments. Thank you for your thank yous. And yeah, we're just about ready to wrap up. So just want to remind you about our phone meditations. We are going to focus during the holiday season for a couple of weeks on holiday stress. So that's coming up. And we'll probably integrate a couple of more gratitude related meditations around Thanksgiving. So there are also links here on our Carol on Wellbeing site. It's where we have our meditation page. that takes you right to that page. And there's about 30 different meditations on there. And we still have the app. If you haven't downloaded the app, it's that same, you find the link and the registration for that on that same Carillon Wellbeing site. And then again, same site, but also you might be using apps. That's fine. If you want to use other apps, I really do recommend these three. Actually, 10% Happier, I think, has changed to just Happier. There is a cost for that one, but Insight Timer and Healthy Minds are free. And then I have all my stuff up on YouTube. There's lots of stuff on there from all these classes. That's where I post them. If you ever want to go on there and you can check all that out. And just a final reminder about EFR resources. The Employee and Family Resources Program provides a whole range of resources to help you and your family. And we still have life cycle kits that are available. If you don't know what those are, if you just go to that same site, carillonwellbeing.com/YNHHS, you'll see on the homepage, there's a card, they call it, or a tile that says life cycle kits, and those are free. There's about 12 different kits, and you can have one. You do have to give them a call to ask for a kit, because they do want to check with you and see if there's other ways that they can assist you. But they send the kits right to your home. So there's all different kits ranging from caregiving to stress to weight loss to creating a will, having a new baby, financial. There's a financial topic. So there's really some pretty good topics there. And yeah, just remember that the program is there. And if you ever have any questions about the program, I'm always glad to be of help around that. So at this point, we're just about done. I will remain on the call, but I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me, and hope you have a wonderful and grateful Thanksgiving. And thanks for being here. Really appreciate you and your presence and for following along with all this. So I'm going to stop the recording. And then I will stop the share, and I'll be on for a couple of minutes if you have any questions.